Hi everyone, Raani here. You're listening to Clean With Me, the podcast where I talk you through cleaning your house.
Thanks for joining me in today's episode. We are, of course, going to be doing some housework, and I'm going to talk about the subject of staying excited about your home by making small but lasting changes. So let's get right into it. It's time to gear up for our cleaning session. Maybe you need to light a scented candle, put some fresh wax in your warmer, or maybe you need to just straighten up the front entrance of your home. Whatever will help you feel relaxed and ready to make a difference in your home. Another thing you might want to do at the beginning of a cleaning session, and I use the term cleaning loosely because some people refer to cleaning as just the surface cleaning. After all the clutter is removed, the dishes are done, the laundry is done. But when I say cleaning on this show, it's an all-encompassing term that includes those other tasks. So another thing you might want to do at the beginning of a session is get your machines running. Maybe you need to do a laundry switch, meaning put the clothes from the washer into the dryer and start a new load. Maybe you need to empty your dishwasher, but if you're doing something else, don't worry, we're going to get to the kitchen in a few minutes. So maybe get your laundry going first. And what I mean by staying excited about your home, I recently went to a friend's housewarming party. And of course, she was very excited about her new house, new to her house, all of its features. And I really like my house too, but I feel like we can get into a rut, and after a while, it's just a house, if that makes sense. Some people may not relate to this exactly. Don't worry, I'm going to help you clean your house whether you relate to this part or not. But I grew up moving a lot, as in changing houses. Like, we were still in the same general area, but I did, I did move far enough that I changed schools. And even though I went to private school, but still we were in the same, general area. However, we changed houses a lot. My parents tended to want to upgrade the house, and it wasn't even necessarily always an upgrade. They just liked moving into new houses. And then my husband and I have moved a lot too, not for the same reason. When we would move, it was basically either we had to or it was a relocation. But just the way our life has happened, with job opportunities or a rental where the landlord was selling the house or a rental where the price went up, just different situations have caused us to move a lot. And when you're used to constantly moving every few years, there's kind of an automatic reset that takes place. You tend to declutter your belongings before or during the packing process. And then when you unpack at your new home, at least for me anyway, it's a fresh start. It's kind of like turning over a new leaf. You get to decide where everything goes. You decide that you're going to be more organized at the new house, that you're going to keep it cleaner. You buy some new decorations. And it's super fun, but unless you're a military family or, you're moving around for some other reason, eventually you're not going to move anymore. And we've been in this house, I think, for over 5 years. I don't know off the top of my head, but we don't plan on going anywhere. The longest I've lived in a house in my entire life, and this was as a married adult because, like I said, my parents were always moving. My husband and I once lived in a house for 8 years, and that was literally the longest. Um, Most of the places we've been in, it's been for a much shorter duration. So, anyway, by now you've probably geared up for your cleaning session. Hopefully you have a candle lit. Maybe you started some laundry. Maybe you straightened up a key area like your front entrance or your front room. And now it's time to head to the kitchen. A lot of us kind of dread cleaning the kitchen, but at the same time, it's so important. And I feel like cleaning the kitchen is the whole reason I started this show, because I do get bored doing dishes. And I use the term doing dishes loosely because even when it includes emptying the dishwasher, reloading it, washing whatever didn't fit, that's all part of doing dishes. Or maybe you're doing several loads by hand. But it's time to get started in the kitchen. Maybe you need to first gather some dishes from around your house. No judgment here if there's a coffee mug on your nightstand, or even something else, a plate from last night's dinner. I hope not, but you never know. You could have a very busy lifestyle right now. We all go through those busy seasons. Right now I'm recording in my bedroom, and there's a coffee mug on my nightstand and a little glass on my husband's nightstand. That's pretty typical for a morning at our house. But you're going to want to gather up dishes from around the house, check your teenagers' bedrooms if you have them, and get started on those dishes. Maybe you need to do an empty, reload, and run. Or maybe you need to do a pre-rinse and start that first sink load of dishes that you're going to wash by hand. But it's time to work on your dishes, whatever that means for you. So speaking of moving, the last time we moved, it was from a rental. We relocated due to my husband's job. We relocated to a different state, a different town, and it was kind of complicated to do that out-of-state move. If you've ever done that, it's kind of a big deal. And so it was simpler for us to just rent a place instead of selling and buying at the same time. We've done it that way before, but it was too much. So we did rent a house when we first moved here after selling our house at our previous location, but then they raised the rent right after the lease ended, and they said it was because of the gas and oil industry, which was kind of booming at the time. So I felt like there was no end in sight and there was no limit to how high they could raise the rent once we were on month to month. So that kind of scared me, and we bought a house. And I really like this house. It has a lot of my must-have features. However, just because you're not in your dream house yet, or even your final destination, does not mean that you can't get excited and stay excited about your home. Okay? If it's not your final destination, try to enjoy it now. I mean, unless you're like literally packing up for a move, I get that. But, if you're going to be there for a while, make it your home. And I feel like the way we live in our homes, our environment, is important to our mental health. I love that feeling when I get up in the morning and my living room is clean and the sunlight's just hitting just right through the windows. And I look around at the decorations I've chosen to hang up on my walls, and it's a very peaceful feeling, and I just love that. But there tends to be, the newness wears off sometimes, and not necessarily the newness of your home. Maybe you've lived in the same house for 20, 30 years or more. Maybe you're too young for that to even be possible. But Maybe there was a time that you got new furniture or you redecorated. There was probably a time, whether it was when you first moved in or you made some changes to your home, that you were more excited about it. And I'm going to talk as we go through each area about small changes. Obviously, all I can do is talk about my own experiences and my limited experiences with the people who I know, but I'm going to talk about some possible changes, but the changes you make in your home are going to be unique to you. So be thinking about what you would like to change. Some of these cost money, but some of them don't. So don't feel like I'm asking you to spend money. You can make changes to your home without spending a dime to keep things fresh, new, and exciting. So I'm going to talk a lot about those kinds of changes. Hopefully you are still plugging away at those dishes. Does anybody else kind of leave things out in a drying rack longer than they care to admit? I'm not always real good about emptying the drying rack. Obviously, I empty my dishwasher because I have to do that to reload it, but sometimes I have things sitting too long in the drying rack. So kind of the challenge today is that if you have things in your drying rack that are dry, let's put those away. Or if you just want to deep clean your countertop after you do dishes and just see more expanse of counter, maybe dry those few dishes and put them away. That's up to you, but it's just a thought. One of the ways that I stay excited about cleaning my kitchen that doesn't cost a dime is by removing clutter from the countertops. And I mean, it could be something small. It could be a crock pot or a blender that's been on your counter and you haven't been using those in a while. Or it could be as simple as emptying your drying rack, cleaning it out, cleaning underneath it, cleaning a windowsill, a window. And to thoroughly deep clean the surfaces of your kitchen, you really need to move stuff. You know how sometimes you'll hear someone say, like, so-and-so's messy. She's not dirty, but she's messy. And I get that. And it makes sense maybe if, you've got some laundry on your bedroom floor, some boxes sitting around. But for your kitchen to be messy yet clean, hard to believe. And I'm not saying this in a judgmental way. Maybe you're doing your dishes and sanitizing things, sanitizing your actual workspaces, like the area around the sink and the stove, places where, you're dealing with food, you're handling food. But yet there's like this hot spot of clutter on the edge of one countertop. I'm not saying that's dirty, that you have a stack of mail there or whatever, but be careful about having too much clutter on surfaces where you work, because you're not going to be getting those as clean unless you remove those items. And maybe you move them, clean, and then put them back. That's okay too, but I definitely prefer a minimalist look in the kitchen. Your countertops don't need a lot of decorations. Maybe a small focal point in one corner, something cute. But yeah, I don't know that I have some things hanging on the wall between the counter, like backsplash countertop and the cabinet. But I like that I keep things off of the counter. See what I'm saying? You can decorate the walls and not the countertop itself. Okay. And then, of course, you may have a coffee maker or Keurig or other K-Cup brewer that, is perpetually out because that's something you use every day. I know I use mine. But, of course, you need to move that and clean under it. So, you may still be working on your dishes if you finish early, or you're good about doing dishes as you go, or you just haven't been dirtying any dishes because you've been eating out. If you're ready to move on, of course, you're going to want to clean surfaces. If this is a day that you're cleaning your cabinets or on top of your cabinets, of course, you want to clean from the top down. On most days, though, it's more about wiping down the countertops, stovetop, the fronts of the appliances. Okay? So whenever you do get done with your dishes, be sure to wipe down your surfaces and kind of pay attention to what you see. Now, on your countertops that you may have gotten used to, things that don't go there. Okay? Let's talk about small changes that can keep you excited about your kitchen while we're in the kitchen. It doesn't sound that exciting, but it can be. Getting new dish towels and dish rags. Maybe you're going through a different phase. Maybe when you first decorated your kitchen, you weren't excited about chickens. Maybe you've got some backyard chickens and now you want like roosters and chickens. It's kind of easy to change up the theme in your kitchen depending on how many decorations you have on the walls, but sometimes I go from like a rooster theme to like a coffee theme, because I do like browns and reds. There's touches of oranges and yellows in my kitchen too. So anyway, you could maybe add that. And when I talk about these changes, obviously you're not making these changes while you're cleaning, but you could jot them down. If you're like me and you jot things down and then lose the piece of paper, maybe use the Notepad app in your phone. I've got notes for everything. But one thing I swear by is having an ongoing grocery list. Because when I notice something's missing, I put it on that list. I'm going to have my phone with me when I'm out shopping. And then before I leave the store, I'm going to check, like, was there anything on my list? Oh, yeah, I'm supposed to get some new dish towels, and here I am at Walmart. Okay? So if you think of something while we're talking about this, maybe jot it down or add it to your phone's notepad. Maybe you have a little, notepad that you keep in your purse, or an organizer, a small planner. Just some ideas there. But I'm just going to be talking about some ideas. Another way to stay excited in the kitchen, obviously, I talk about this a lot because this is big, getting some new tools to make doing dishes easier or just fresher and newer. I like those little wands where you can put the dish soap in the handle, the little Scotch-Brite thing. I also have a brush. And definitely if you're having teens, preteens, young adults, anyone who doesn't like doing dishes, the more tools you provide them, the better. So the less likely they are to complain. If you're like, by the way, there's a new dish wand. I don't know. It somehow helps with the delegation. But as adults, we like to have new tools too. Could be a sponge, could be a little cloth. But yeah, changing the theme. It could even be a little thing that you hang up, a little decoration, or even a little knick-knack that you put in the corner. I'm not saying that you can't have any decorative item on your countertop. I'm just saying I personally prefer to keep it to a minimum. I feel like the more countertop I see, the cleaner my house looks. I think a lot of people would agree with me there. But for me, in the corner where I might put something, there's a toaster there. You know what I mean? Like, there are so many items that you might need to keep on your countertop. There may not be room for a knick-knack to sit there too, if that makes sense. But if there is, there is. Okay? All of our homes are different, and our level of clutter or belongings that we can handle differs. Hopefully by now you've finished your dishes, but no judgment here. If you're faced with a disaster today and you're going to be just working on dishes, throughout the episode. It's a priority. If all I do is get you caught up on your dishes today, I've accomplished something, you've accomplished something. But for a lot of us, it's time to move on to surfaces. And of course, once you've wiped down your kitchen surfaces, you may want to sweep the floor unless you're going to kind of clean your floors in one swoop after the episode. Like maybe you're going to put some music on and sweep or vacuum. I definitely encourage you to do that. Only you know what needs to be done in your kitchen today. But again, small changes, and some things can be picked up at Dollar Tree, Dollar General, Family Dollar, or, if you're across the pond in Europe, I don't know where you shop, but usually there are affordable things that you can do to kind of spruce up your kitchen. I remember when my mother-in-law would, after we left our original home state of California, when my mother-in-law would visit us, she would typically go to the store during her visit and buy us some dish towels and dishcloths. She would see that we had just a few raggedy ones and buy us new ones. And it was nice, and it did kind of spruce up our kitchen. And sometimes we don't think about that. I mean, some of us are spending a lot of money on makeup and neglecting our surroundings in our home. I don't know who needed to hear that. The older you get, like, you start caring about how your house looks a little more, I think. But maybe when the house, even if you're young, maybe when the house was new, you temporarily cared. Okay? So just a thought there. Be finishing up your kitchen surfaces and maybe sweeping the floor. We're going to be moving on in a few more minutes. I'm kind of out of stuff to talk about in the kitchen, so maybe you need a few minutes in the kitchen. But one thing that I've also kind of learned from my mother-in-law is moving the couches around. Every so often you'd go to her house and she had kind of rearranged the furniture. It wasn't a huge difference or huge change, but the couches are just in different places. And I think that's just a time-honored tradition. It forces you to vacuum under the couches, and there's just that whole mental thing of making your home new again, making it different. Some of us really crave novelty. I mean, for me, it's a combination of being a creature of habit and loving routine, but also craving some novelty at the same time. And I realize that it may not be possible to rearrange the configuration of your furniture. Not super possible at my house because we currently have a sectional. When you have a sectional, sometimes it just has to go in that one corner. You know what I mean? But there are other things that I could do. I could move the recliner. I could move the rocking chair. Those two items could trade places. So just a thought there. Now, if you only have one possible configuration, of course, you do still want to move furniture to clean under and behind it. Now, if you're not physically able to do so, wait until you have someone there to help you. Don't hurt yourself. But there's something a lot more fun about rearranging and cleaning where the furniture was while you're moving it than just moving stuff to clean under it and that's it. So that's kind of the theme of the episode. Again, I can't change a lot about the configuration of my living room, but I can make a few small changes with items other than the sectional. So your time is up in the kitchen per se. However, I do encourage you to stay in there if that's the problem area of your home right now and you need to keep working. But for most of us, it's time to move on to the living areas. If you have a house with multiple living areas, you may want to just run around and pick up each room, or you may want to focus on just one of your living areas during this episode. My house, and I know a lot of homes are like this, you just walk in and you're basically in the living room. There's an area of tile, which I call the entryway, when you first walk in, but it's technically the same room as my living room. So for me, cleaning up the outer areas, as I call them, includes the living room and entryway, as well as the hallway. You may have multiple living areas and hallways, but you're going to work in at least one of those areas at this time. And if you have a small home or medium-sized home, you may be able to straighten up all of those areas. Probably one of the things that stresses me out the most, other than being, falling behind on dishes, is having a messy front room. I feel like that room should be clutter-free at all times, and it can be a struggle because I'm not the only one living in my home. There's a lot going on here at any given time, but I definitely try to make it a priority. That's why after I have you clean the kitchen, I have you clean the front room. This is kind of a priority-based system. Some of you might be thinking, oh no, the bathroom is more important, and I got to go straight to clean the bathroom. That may be because your living areas aren't that cluttered. Definitely when my kids are grown, my front rooms are going to be clutter-free. But it's a common area and a lot goes on in that area. My kids are doing homework in the living rooms, frequently. They're playing chess. I've got a playpen in there to keep my grandson confined. And, when I'm babysitting him and need to put him somewhere. And then sometimes I even set up this huge corral for him. Sometimes I have his toys spread all out. So life happens in your living areas. I get that. But it's time to pick up that clutter and be thinking about small changes. Again, rearranging the furniture is not always possible, especially in a small house. But what about getting new throw pillows? New house plants, okay? And I said that not every change is going to cost money. Remember, the freebie difference maker in the kitchen was just to put away some stuff that you have out on the countertop. That doesn't cost you. Throw pillows do cost money, but what about throwing your current throw pillows in the washing machine and then into the dryer? What? I don't know if those are washable. It doesn't say that on the tag. Yeah, but if they look dirty, you need to either wash them or throw them away. Why don't you just throw them in the wash and see if they survive? Okay, that's what I do. I happen to have relatively new ones. I got some new ones when I was preparing for my Christmas guests, and that was a nice touch. But I mentioned houseplants. Here's something that will cost you literally nothing, and I'm about to do this at my house. I have some empty pots outside on my back patio, and they're from plants that died, okay? Let's face it, but I still have the pots. And then I have this plant in my bathtub. It sounds weird that I have it in the bathtub. It's not sitting in the bathtub, but it's on the ledge around the tub, okay? I use my bathtub, but there's a plant on the ledge. But I have two plants in the same pot, but they've gotten so big because they're really happy there. There's a window. It's one of those modeled windows so people don't see you in the bathtub. They could maybe make out a shadow, but not very clearly. And the plant's on that ledge, but it gets so much light and it's just, probably humidity. Everything is so perfect for it that there's two plants in the same pot. They've both gotten big. So I'm planning to dig up one of them and put it into one of those empty pots, maybe even split it into two plants because it's the kind where you can get away with that. I forget what it's called, but those plants that just trail around and they're very hardy, like they're almost impossible to kill. I'm planning to kind of to dig those out. I'm going to leave the other plant that could be more fragile right where it is. I'm going to take out that hardy one and maybe split it into 2 potted plants using those pots I have. So you may have some pots somewhere from a plant that you killed, and maybe you want to transplant some things into those pots and then use them to decorate your home, because I want to have a house plant in my front room again, since I have just those 2 consolidated in a giant pot in the bathroom. So that's a possible way to spruce up your home, is with plants. And what made me think about that is when I was at the housewarming. This episode is inspired by my friend Jennifer and her lovely new home. When I was when I went to her housewarming party, I got her a scented candle, and I got her one of those plants that you can't kill. So it's a live plant, but just that really hardy type of plant. So that trails around. So you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, yeah, so those are some ideas. Throw pillows are easy. Here's another one. This one's from my daughter, Jessica. She likes to go to Dollar Tree and get seasonal decorations for whichever season. And even if it's a season that you don't typically decorate for. I'll admit I don't decorate for Valentine's Day. Okay, I'm just hoping for some chocolate that day. And, I get my kids chocolates, and I hope my husband gets me chocolate. And if I hint to him, he does, and stuff like that. But my daughter hung up some really cute Valentine's Day decorations. And that's one of the ways that she stays excited about her home. Keeps things new and fresh. There's the familiarity plus the novelty. Let me give you another example. We're going to spend a few more minutes in your living areas, pick up, dust, and be thinking about changes you want to make. I mentioned moving several times. One of my moves, I moved into a rental house, and it had a little bit of an odd smell to it that made it just not feel like home. I mean, I cleaned, I got different air fresheners and different things. But one of the reasons that I didn't feel at home there is there was a long delay between us moving there and the moving truck arriving. And it literally affected my mental health. I mean, not that I had like a complete breakdown or something, but I felt sad, I felt depressed, and I felt like I was not at home. And the reason for that was that I kind of, had an epiphany at some point that I didn't see anything familiar. When I had what I needed, but I didn't have any of the items I was used to seeing. So it was too much novelty. So there's a balance there. Meaning our family members went in ahead of us. They put mattresses in the bedroom. I remember telling my sister, I need a basic cooking kit, which, I was like, everything you would use like to make spaghetti. I need those tools. I need a pot. I need a pan, that type of thing, a strainer. A large knife. I had just a list of things, towels, rags, we need bath towels. Like I made a list of things that we were going to need, and people dropped off even more than we asked for, a TV, folding chairs. So we had everything for our home to function while we were waiting. I don't know how many days it was for our stuff to arrive. Even when I got the house smelling okay, it still felt like I was at someone else's house, and it bothered me way more than I had expected. You would think I'd be satisfied that the move went smoothly and we liked our new house and we had the necessities. We had packed, each family had a duffel bag packed with clothing. We had, our basic capsule wardrobe that we needed to wear. We had towels. We had a basic cooking kit. So yeah, but I still was unhappy But there was just such a good feeling when I hung up some of the familiar pictures and just items that I was used to seeing at my old house. Okay, that having been said, when I move to a house, I like to have kind of the something old, something new. I like to have the familiarity. So I don't recommend just, oh, we're going to start completely fresh at the new house. Like if you are contemplating moving or planning a move, I don't recommend getting rid of absolutely everything and starting over. There should be some items that you want to keep that are special to you. I mean, if you're different, that's fine. You know, maybe you're so minimalist, you like having bare walls, but I think that decorating a home kind of lets you express yourself. Your decorations should have special meaning to you or represent you in some way. And I feel like you need to carry a few things with you on a move. That's my opinion anyway. So I'm not saying to completely get rid of everything. I have an aunt who is really into decorating, and I remember her redecorating her home without moving even. Maybe just because the trends in decorating changed, but there were still things that she always had. There were things that were constants in her decor, if that makes sense. So updating doesn't mean completely changing everything out. It doesn't necessarily need to do that. But anyway, just a thought there. Hopefully you've had time to straighten up a front room. If your front room is taking too long to straighten up, maybe you need some containers. I have some cute rectangular baskets that are lined with cloth. They say something about homegrown, and I use those. One of them's for toys, and then one of them's to kind of corral video game gear. I also have some drawers under the in the TV stand for video gaming headsets and cords and whatnot. I'm definitely into built-in storage. If I'm picking out an end table, I want it to have like a drawer. I love my pop-up coffee table. Sometimes we get packages for my husband's coworkers, and if I don't want to look at them or whatever, sometimes I'll put them inside that coffee table. I'm all for built-in storage. If it's taking you forever to declutter, you need some storage solutions. Or if it's toys that are taking over, you need a small container for toys, and you need to take some of the toys out of circulation and then kind of rotate them in so that it doesn't take as long. That's just my opinion. So take it with a grain of salt. This is going to be kind of a short area or a short episode. So I want you to choose the area because I do have to work today, but I want you to choose an area to finish off in. It could be a bathroom. Definitely your house needs to be sanitary. So if it's been a long time since you've cleaned your bathroom, you definitely need to head in there. Alarm's going off. I hope it didn't ruin my recording. If not, you could declutter an area, maybe your laundry room or your bedroom. Maybe you need to make your bed. You decide where you work in this last part, and I'll talk about staying excited in those areas. Staying excited in the bathroom could be, sounds weird, but it could be a new shower caddy. It could be something decorative on the back of your toilet. Some type of a container to, corral things. It could be a lot of things, but, I do like to have in a larger bathroom some type of a decorative item. It could be a house plant. It could be a little picture in the corner. Kind of like with the kitchen counter, less is more, but there you might want like a focal point if you have a larger countertop. Like in the bathroom, if you have dual sinks, you probably have a lot of counter space where you can put something up as a decoration. You just don't want to have so much that it takes forever to move the stuff when you go to clean. You're not going to clean as often, if you're making it hard for yourself. Or you may be real functional. You may have, like I have this little basket thing that I like to put different hair products in to kind of just make it look neat. I've got my toothbrush holders and things like that. So new toothbrush holders, soap pumps, those could kind of mix things up, freshen things up. But sometimes you can just shop in your own home. Remember, I was talking about some of these things don't have to cost money. What about finding a knick-knack from elsewhere in the house and bringing it to the bathroom? For example, the basket that I use for my little I wouldn't say detangling. I think it's a leave-in conditioner. On a kid, it's a detangler. For an adult, it's a leave-in conditioner, I think. But my little sprays for my hair are in a basket that's kind of a chicken wire basket. That was a kitchen decoration when I was really into like the rooster theme. But then I kind of mellowed out on that for a while. I think I want to get back into it and buy more stuff for sure. Because I do have backyard laying hens. I don't have roosters, but the rooster decorations are super cute. I might get more chicken decor, but at some point I was kind of over that and I brought that basket to the bathroom. So sometimes there's something that you can use in your bathroom that you take from another part of the house. Maybe you want to hang up something inspirational, a scripture verse, or whatever it is that inspires you. Hopefully it's a scripture verse. But anyway, you might want to hang up some type of inspirational plaque or framed picture. Sometimes you can do that by printing something online. In the bathroom, I try to decorate with things that are moisture proof, though. When you have a picture that's like a print or something, or even something that you printed in a frame, it can get messed up if you have a bathroom that gets steamed up. So sometimes I like to use wooden plaques in the bathroom, just things that are not overly sensitive to moisture. And you can even go to the thrift store for stuff like that. But definitely less is more. I'm not into overly decorating a bathroom or kitchen. Sometimes just the functional items like your towels, the color of your towels can brighten up those areas. In my own bathroom, I have kind of a love theme. I have these wooden pictures, I guess, that I got at Hobby Lobby where it's wood framed with wood. So there's no glass, there's no paper behind the glass. So they're ideal for a bathroom. I have this giant wooden picture per se hanging up on the wall that I look at from my bathtub, and it says love, sweet love. My bathroom colors are like gray, black, and red. In my, primary bedroom bathroom. I've got the dual sink, so there's still not a lot of room for decor because there's a huge mirror. But I do red towels, red and gray towels. And then I have that love, sweet love picture hanging up. And then in the little room that's just a toilet, I call it the toilet stall or the bathroom stall. I have another wooden picture like that where the whole thing is wood and it's just painted. And it has a heart and then says always. So love always. So that kind of ties in with the love, sweet love. That's kind of a white and gray, I think. I'm not very observant and don't have a really good short-term memory for like what things look like. But anyway, those are things that really make me feel good. I like having the love theme because it's, that's the bathroom my husband and I share. So that's kind of fun. In my hallway guest bathroom / kids bathroom, definitely real minimalist, but on the wall up above the toilet, and it's a small bathroom, so it doesn't need a lot of decorations. I have it's a combination of wood and metal, and it says family or home or something like that, and it has little birds. And that kind of ties in with my my living room, which some of the pictures have birds or tree branches. So that's kind of a theme that I've got going on there. And then I have like a plaque with a scripture verse kind of near the light switch above the towel bar. So, and we don't put knickknacks for decorations because that bathroom's super functional. Probably the prettiest thing I have, there's a little turquoise bowl for people to put their earrings in, and just little small things that, you don't want to just put on the countertop for, teenage girls. So one other area that I haven't mentioned, well, I'll mention a couple areas. When I want to refresh my bedroom, I will get a new comforter or a bed in a bag set. There's just something about a new bedding that can really brighten up the room with very little effort. I mean, you need to pick up, vacuum, and dust your bedroom and get some new bedding. I mean, that can make a world of difference. Something else I did recently that made me feel good was hanging up my college diploma in kind of like the corner that is my workspace, my office in my room. And I've got a pretty calendar. That was another bright, nice touch. Oh, another thing on changing your decor. It can be expensive to totally change out your decor. I went through a phase where I was collecting Pena prints, and I ended up wanting to kind of update and go with something different when we moved here, but invested in my Pena collection. So I ended up moving the Penas to my bedroom. So I have kind of a Southwestern theme in my bedroom, and whenever I buy a comforter, I just make sure it kind of coordinates in some way with those prints that I have hanging up in here. So again, something old, something new. There are things that you keep and kind of carry with you because you really love them, but they can maybe go to a different room when you want to update. I mean, usually when you want to like totally update your decor, it's going to be your kitchen and front room, for me anyway. And some of those things that are just comfortable, familiar, that have sentimental value, maybe you could use to decorate a bedroom. It's also super fun to decorate a laundry room. I've got some cute stuff in my laundry room, folks. Don't neglect that area. If you have a dedicated laundry room, that's a fun area to decorate. Anyway, I'm out of time. Hopefully I've given you some ideas, or at least got you thinking about, sorry if you can hear my dog barking. The kids aren't supposed to let a dog out while I'm recording, but long story. Anyway, because then they want back in. But hopefully I've given you some food for thought, and maybe you have some ideas of your own of ways to stay excited about your home. For those of us who kind of crave the novelty, we've got to update our homes in some small way at least. Thank you so much for listening. Special thanks to my financial supporters. I will be producing some more bonus content soon. One of you wrote in kind of hinting that Jessica and I should get rid of our day jobs and do this full time. Believe me, we would love to, and hopefully someday we can do that. But right now we just can't afford it. So I apologize that we missed an episode last week. We're doing the best we can. Most of all, just keep on listening. I appreciate each and every one of you. And as always, happy cleaning. I'll talk to you in the next episode.